Hey everybody, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. I'm Mike and this is a YouTube Yacht project. It is a boat themed, obviously, rental cabin that we are building. You saw the thumbnail. We're going to try to get that concrete floor poured today. Sun's coming up. We're going to do a little work down at the pond today as well. If you look real close right through there, you can actually see the river, which is an unexpected bonus. I'm curious, floor, main level, wheelhouse, what that'll bring you that direction. You'll just have to stay tuned to the channel as we build this thing to find out though. Dirt Perfect's gonna come by here in a little bit. He's gonna stay around long enough to help me get everything in the hole and screed it off. And then we'll take over finishing from there. It is winter time, so it shouldn't, I don't anticipate it getting away from us. We should be okay. Now I did work for Dirt Perfect full time for 5 years. He owned a home building company and I pretty much stayed on the concrete and excavation side of it, but most of my experience is vertical concrete into ICF, which doesn't take a tremendous amount of skill, or footers, or porch pads, or sidewalks that are just broom finished. I haven't done a lot of finish type of work. I'll give you a quick tour. Number 4 1/2-inch rebar, all tied. A little bit of a footer here for a spiral staircase. It'll go up to the next 2 levels. Trunk line for the upstairs. Drain line for the bathroom sink. Toilet flange. I know a lot of people are going to be mad that we already have that on, but that's what we're doing. Floor drain. There'll be a hot water closet right here. Floor drain for that. Drain line for the washer and dryer, and a floor drain for under the washer and dryer in case we ever have an issue with that. And a corner jacuzzi tub that'll have a custom shower combo built into it.
Man, you already got me dirty.
Well,
it's gonna cost you.
Is it? Yeah, years of emotional abuse.
Pretty sure if I take what you're paying me times 10, the price is still the same.
Still the same. Yeah, that ain't bad. That'll work. Gonna need one of these. So I'll walk you through a little bit of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I'll also give you up front here on the front end of the video a little bit of a history of Dirt Perfect and myself. You can see I'm just pulling that rebar up as we go, and I know that's always a hot button topic. People always talking about how the rebar is not perfectly placed if you don't have it sitting on rebar chairs, and that's probably true. But I've demoed my fair share of concrete pads over the years, and even poorly placed rebar is still stronger than well-placed mesh. So I believe we'll be plenty strong enough, even if I miss a few spots for the floor of the YouTube Yacht. I've got 2 chalk lines, one chalk line for the top of the concrete, and the other chalk line is the top of the screed board. That way, if for some reason we push too much in a corner or we lose that top of the concrete chalk line, we've got that second chalk line as a reference. And we'll be good on our grade or our elevation all the way across. Now, most of you guys know I used to work for Mike full-time when he had his home building business. And that was about 6 years ago before I left for my new career. And of course, I still do work for him part-time. And I worked for him full-time. That was about a 5-year span, I'd say, somewhere around there. And when I came on with him, it was right when he was getting into the home building business. And for the first couple years, he was doing 3, 4, maybe 5 homes a year. And at that point, it made sense. It just kind of one crew, everybody stuck with the house from beginning to end. It just made sense. But as he got busier and busier and busier, he started doing more and more homes, and we had to get guys to the next job quicker. Of course, you start subbing things out, and one of the things he started subbing out was the flat work. So I only have a couple years worth of experience doing flat work, but it's enough to make me comfortable doing this job. He's going to go ahead and bull float that off on the bow end of it, which is a strange way to describe the end of a basement. And then we'll go ahead to the stern side of it, work our way back to the center, and then screed our way out the door.
Let's see if I can pull him up a little further. You pour a lot of boat-shaped houses?
Nope.
You don't, man?
That's what I said. This is cool.
Let's go.
Nope, I think my.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take it long enough.
Clean these up.
I mean, just hose them off enough I can burn them.
So Mike was able to stay around long enough to help get the concrete in the hole and screed it off. And it was a huge help, and I cannot thank him enough for that. He also let me borrow his concrete tools. That's his bull float there that I'm using. We'll have his concrete saw out later too, and a few other miscellaneous things. I should have bull floated that from the center and then screeded the center out and bull floated the center section from the door, but it is what it is. This is where we're at. Concrete truck is taken off. That came out of Mulzer's from Tell City. Had 6.5 yards, that's all it was. He had about a half yard left over, so it figured out pretty good. As far as adding anything for this time of year, I just had him add hot water. It's supposed to be up to 55 today. It started out low 30s in the morning. It's supposed to get up to 55 in the afternoon, and then low 30s overnight. I figured hot water would be plenty. I didn't have any chemical heat added as far as that goes. So now we're getting ready to do something that I never have done. In my limited experience with concrete, anytime I've finished a slab, it's always been with a power trowel. Or if it wasn't a power trowel finish, and I was hand finishing, it was only to the point that I needed to run a broom across it. I've never hand finished an entire slab. And not that this is a huge slab, but it'll be the first time I ever try to hand finish a floor for a basement. And I'm a little nervous about it. So here's where we're looking at now. Actually turned out pretty good as far as getting it in the hole and bull floated out for the awkward shape it is. And we'll see if we can make something out of it. So it's been about an hour since we've poured. I ran a couple errands, went back to the house, got some batteries and microphones and stuff charging up, and we're still, not even close. It's gonna be a hot minute. It is wintertime. That's the thing about finishing concrete in the wintertime. We'll probably be out here till after dark. The good news is, it always looks really good when you're done in the wintertime because it's dark out and you can't really see everything. So I already got a couple things loaded up in the side-by-side ready to go. We're gonna head down to the pond and do a little work down there at the pond, and there's a little bit of work I wanna do on the bell tower as well. This is what we're doing. Just some odd jobs around the property between finish passes on the floor. Yeah, That's it. One take. We don't have time for multiple takes. You're gonna get what you get in this. I don't know about this situation. All right, here we go. Oh, hey. So this is the pond. My most successful video is my biggest failure. It was the first time we built this pond, and it failed miserably. And then we ended up rebuilding it. And so far it's been doing good, slowly but surely filling up. I'm gonna move our little reference cone back up the hill a little ways. I don't know if you can see it. Well, I'll just show you. This is the little overflow. It's got some leaves and stuff in it right now, but that's okay. I never did come and pack down real tight around this thing like I wanted to when we built it. So we're gonna do that. And we're gonna use a pretty fancy compactor. Oh, let's see, we got that. Oh, and we got that. Yeah. This should be fun. This should be fun. So whenever I built this, I was able to get a sheep's foot compactor within about, a foot or so of this, and packed her down pretty tight. And I used a sheep's foot compactor to pack the clay around the trench itself for the whole length of the pipe. The only part I didn't get packed down that I wasn't happy with was kind of the topsoil that rolled around the top edge of it. So I figured I'd take this down here, try to pack it down tight to the top of the collar for the 45-degree coupler you see there. And then take some of the concrete left over from the YouTube Yacht floor that we just poured and pour a little bit of an anti-seep collar, something to help keep the crawfish from crawling down alongside the pipe as well. So we were able to get this beat down all the way. See where the edge of that collar is? That's that 45 on the inside, which is great. I'm going to kind of scrape some of the smaller stuff off the side, clean that up, and those 2 buckets we just brought down of extra concrete, we're gonna put that around that, and that'll sit down on the collar of that 45, and hopefully that does the trick. There's never any guarantee on anything, and I'm not 100% sure that's going to work, but it's definitely better than what it was. That clay is packed down on that coupling or that 45 super tight, and now we've got this concrete sitting down on that lip, so that should, I mean, we'll find out in the long run, but that should fix it. If it doesn't, no worries. You can tell it's a pretty shallow overflow. You just have to dig that up and fix it. Not that big of a deal. Definitely better than what it was. Let's run up. You guys saw, by the way, that concrete was acting. I bet that floor is pretty close to being ready for its first pass. It's finishing really nice. We're right to there. We're just gonna work our way down through there. I'll pick you guys up in that corner. I couldn't get the bowl float around that tub drain, so there's quite a bit of rock there. I'm hoping I can get that knocked down okay. We'll find out in just a minute. I'll meet you guys over there. Somewhere over here, there's a floor drain you do a little work with. So let's talk about another, what I'm sure will become a controversial topic, and it'll be the way that I'm doing my floor drains. But I'm doing them for a very specific reason, because of some life lessons. For a random year of my life, between working for Dirt Perfect full-time and working at my current career, I worked as a maintenance man for several apartment complexes. And what that taught me is that when it comes to hot water heaters and washers, they will always, at some point in their lifetime, fail and overflow and leak, and water will go everywhere. And water can cause a lot of damage pretty quick. So the way I'm doing these floor drains, and the way I started doing them, is this is about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch below the top of the finished floor. And you can see I'm kind of digging out and bowling down to that. And that's in an effort so that if it does fail, it keeps that water, or tries to keep as much as that water in that area and keep it from getting out to the rest of the house. Several of the apartment complexes had it set up like this, and it worked really well for failing hot water heaters. And I'm not talking about a full-blown blowout. I'm talking about the base starts to leak, the signs and symptoms of a failing hot water heater. And the ones that didn't have this, the water would always work its way out to the living area. So ever since then, this is the way I started doing my floor drains. See how the rock is still on top back here? That's not great. We're not in a great situation here, are we? I couldn't get the bull float back here. I should have walked back here with the mag float and hit it once. But, well, yeah, you know, consequences. Oh, no. So you can tell I'm really having to work it back here in this corner, but it is coming around okay. And this is going to be underneath the tub, so it's not that huge of a deal. And also, we're going to lay tile in the bathroom, so we'll have the opportunity for floor leveler and grout to kind of work out any imperfections we have here. But honestly, as far gone as that corner got without me bull floating it, I was pretty happy with the way I was able to get it to come around. But if a fellow knew what he was doing, he would not have to be working this hard to make it look good. I'll say that. And anybody that does concrete knows that as well. At this point, I'm starting to get a little nervous about how it's going to turn out once I get the steel trowel on it. That actually doesn't look too terrible. Not bad for hand magging it out, and a fellow that doesn't do flat work all that often. Like I said, a machine would probably get you a better look on top, obviously. But it's all getting covered up. It took me about an hour to get all the way around that thing. I'm gonna go ahead and run a steel on it. I don't think we're gonna hurt anything. Since we're doing it by hand, I really don't want to get behind. I'll be honest, for December, it's going faster than I expected it to. But then again, it is 55 degrees today. Yeah, it's time for steel. Oh, sorry, fellas. At this point, I'm starting to feel really good about this. Physically starting to get tired, but mentally feeling really good about it. Very happy with the way this first pass of the steel trowel is looking. I feel like I'm on time. I feel like I'm ahead of it. I feel comfortable. Speaking of comfort, yes, I am down to my socks. I've kicked enough divots with the toes of my boots in concrete before off these knee boards. I just started doing my socks back in the day. And to be honest, it's just plain comfortable. Let your feet breathe a little bit, especially when you're doing it in the summer. No complaints there. They do make metal knee sliders that you kind of strap into that encase your whole boot. You don't really have to worry about it. And you can kind of slide your knees around those metal sliders if you get behind. They're pretty nice. So it's about 2:30 right now. See where the sun's coming down the horizon there. Still have a couple hours of daylight left. And that is after the first pass with the steel trowel. So we had one mag float pass and one steel trowel pass. It's shaping up pretty good. And honestly, it's going a lot faster than I expected too. I talked about that earlier, but you know, being 55 in December definitely helps. And it was a little windy this afternoon, which kind of helps too. No complaints on my end though. I mean, I don't want to be out here till midnight to do the last pass on it, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping we can get it done while there's still daylight. I think we'll be able to. I'd hoped on going down and do some work on the timber bridge, but as fast as it's going, I kind of want to stay a little bit closer. Let's go up to the barn and work on that workbench and see if we can get the last few boards put on that, and then that'll be done and ready to go. So this is just another random project I have going on the property right now. These are some second cuts off some trees I milled up whenever I borrowed my buddy's sawmill. And this is half of an old fiber optic conduit reel that a company left behind years ago. The other half of it I cut it off and used when I custom modified or bush hogged the Wappa Choppa. This half of it, the steel, is just really bad though. A lot of people suggested using this for the paddle wheel on the back of the YouTube Yacht, and the shape is perfect, but the steel itself just isn't in good enough shape. Although I do plan on using the round cable for a jig to weld up some paddle wheel supports. The main purpose for this is I just want an outdoor workbench. I have some fabrication projects coming up this winter I'm hoping to get to. Several people have suggested cleaning out the inside of the barn so I could fabricate in there, but I actually don't have electricity in the barn. And I keep the generator inside there, so I don't really feel like being in there with the fumes, obviously, and I don't feel like dragging the generator out every time. It's a propane-powered welder, so it takes a little bit of effort to get it outside. There's also no lights in there as well, and I just frankly like being outside. So I'm using some of these second cuts that I can't use on the barn project we have coming up, and I'm using the old scrap bad metal side of this wheel as a little bit of a workbench, scrap built free table to just get me up off the ground this winter. So whenever I do my fabrication projects, I'll be a little bit more comfortable. We're not gonna get the whole thing done today. I'm just trying to get a few more boards cut and put into place while we're waiting for the next pass. Come down, check on his floor real quick, see how we're doing. Man, it might be ready for the next. It's so close. It was really close to being ready to the next pass. I left you guys too far again. Oh no! Oh. Well, oh gosh. Oh, that's not good. Look what you guys did. So it is the following morning, and here's where I make my biggest regrettable mistake. Very avoidable mistake, something I should have known better. Something I've experienced before when it comes to cutting the concrete to green and then chipping the concrete. I've done it before, and I should have known better, but I was pretty anxious to get this part done. The goal with cutting these joints is to get it done before the concrete shrinks enough that it causes its own cracks. Now in the summertime, the next day, the next morning, perfect timing. But in the wintertime, I could have waited a whole nother day, but for whatever reason, I think I was just anxious and I just wanted to be down here. I decided to go ahead and make the cuts. And you're about to see, it doesn't really go as good as I'd like. So if you've ever cut concrete, you know if you cut it too green, you're going to cause that concrete to chip. And that's exactly what I'm doing. You can probably see some of the bigger chunks coming off the saw. The downfall is once you commit to the line, or you start the line, you kind of got to commit to it. If you stop cutting the joint, you run the risk, and this time of year it is a very slim risk, but still run the risk that if you cut it and the joint's just hanging out in the middle of the floor and it does decide to shrink just enough, that crack will come off wherever you stop that line. So you kind of got to finish it out. Now, it's not the end of the world, and I'm really not that worried about it, honestly. That's kind of part of doing something DIY. You got to be big enough to understand that it might not meet your expectations, but it'll still meet the standards for the job. And by that, I mean this is all getting covered up with the floor covering, so it's not too big of a deal. It's nothing I'm concerned about. It's just a little hit to the pride, knowing that I know better than that, yet I still did it. So before I cut the second line, I did go ahead and go work for Mike the rest of the afternoon. Let it sit out in the mid-50s in sunshine again. Another gorgeous day for December. I hauled the 850B up to the shop for him. I believe he's got some new undercarriage parts he's going to put in there. He's got quite a bit of equipment up at the shop right now, actually. Doing a lot of winter maintenance, getting everything ready for next summer. And then you remember a few videos ago, I hauled some of those big concrete cubes. Did a video about how to scale a truck legally and make the load legal. So I went out and hauled 2 more loads of concrete cubes for him, another 24 cubes back to the lot. And Mike's been doing quite a bit of trucking here himself lately. Been hauling a lot of that clay pipe back to the lot. You guys have probably noticed that in some of the videos in the backgrounds. And I actually didn't even make a video on trucking today. I just kind of took the day off the camera, except for these couple clips, just to say I did it. And it was nice. You can see though, we're definitely getting used to this new trailer. We're getting turned around some tight spots pretty easily with it. He made a trip to Indy, and see if you can see what's missing off the front of this truck. It just looks weird without the wide load sign on the front, I think, but we'll get it back on. He took those off when he went up to Indy. And then I went down to the bell tower. We had a friend send us some solar-powered LED Edison lights. Name is Steve. Dirt Brute Steve is his YouTube name, I believe. You'll probably see him down in the comment section. He's there quite a bit. He said he has these on his gazebo at his house, and he thought they would look great on our bell tower. And here's a picture from later that night. Yeah, he was right. They look absolutely amazing. Stunning. Definitely what that bell tower needed. So huge thanks to Steve for sending those in. And then I went and cut that second line, and this one cut great. Hardly chipped. Maybe a couple rocks kicked up, but nothing like the one in the morning. And for freehand lines, they turned out pretty straight.
I can't get over this. What a huge step. If you're new to the channel, you might think this is pretty cool, but if you've been with the channel for a while, if you've been with the channel since we've been fighting through the mud and the muck to get this far, you know how huge this is. This is a massive step for us. It's nothing but up from here. Unreal. I'm sure voiceover Mike took over a lot of this for me because real life Mike was a little tired, but I'm a little bummed obviously about how much that chipped out. You know, it gets covered up. It's not that big a deal as long as you're not pulling up my flooring. You'll never know it's like that. It feels good when you walk on it. There's no big dips or humps or anything like that. I'm sure we'll have to use some floor leveler whenever we put the floor in, whatever we put in here. But it really does feel good. You know, normally you can notice those dips and those humps if you're walking around. You can kind of feel them. But, I mean, it feels really nice. I'm not seeing anything too wild and out of control. I just can't get over this. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. The kids wanted to come out and look at it yesterday, but I knew if they saw it, they'd want to walk on it, and it wasn't quite cured enough yesterday for them to walk on it. So I can't wait for them to get home from school so they can come walk on this. They're going to be excited about it too. I don't know. If we don't cut the video off now, it's just going to be hours of me awkwardly smiling as I walk around in circles. So let's get the drone. Let's get the drone, let's get up in the air, and we'll fly it a little bit, and we'll finish the video out that way.
So that's it. The concrete basement floor in the YouTube Yacht is officially poured and finished and ready for the next step. And of course, the next step is the ICF floor system for the main level. We will be calling to get that ordered later this week, so hopefully it should come in. Probably get through the holidays before they ship it out, I imagine, but early January we should be seeing the floor system come in, and we'll be starting to work on that. And that will be an awesome, awesome, exciting process. Again, I cannot thank Mike or Dirt Perfect enough for coming and helping me get that concrete screeded off and let me borrow his concrete finishing tools as well. And I can definitely not thank you guys enough. You guys know we've been building this project out of purely YouTube revenue, which means when you guys are watching and you're liking and you're commenting and you're sharing and you're doing everything that helps the channel grow, well, it's because of you guys that we get to do stuff like this. And that's pretty amazing. So thank you. We really do appreciate the support you give this channel. We're going to do a little bit more drone flying, just kind of check out the scenery. You guys know how it goes. We got some shop work coming up for Mike. I just mentioned hauling equipment up there. Well, I'm going to be doing some shop work up there for him as well. So we have some of those videos coming out, which you guys know are hilarious because just like I'm not a concrete finisher, I'm also not a mechanic. We just kind of fumble our way through it like we do everything, and it makes for some pretty entertaining videos. The words, they're always a struggle for me. And you guys know that. One take outros. Here we go. Drone flights. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.